and the first thing that happens, usually, is the love scene.
At 60, Diane Lane isn't holding anything back. In a stunning new interview, the Hollywood icon flashes that famous, mischievous smile and drops a confession no one saw coming. With a laugh that melts the room, she admits, "I've spent my life surrounded by beautiful, talented men, and I'd be lying if I said I never thought about it." Then she leans in and teases the words that send fans into chaos. "There were 6 men who almost made me break my own rules." From passion to restraint, this isn't gossip. It's raw, real, and undeniably Diane Lane. And tonight, she finally names every single one of them. That's Diane. Elegant, unfiltered, and unafraid to tell the truth. When asked if she ever lost herself in the fantasy of a co-star, she leans forward and says with a grin, "There were 6 men who made me forget my lines, my cool, and maybe a few of my morals." She sits back again, eyes glimmering with that unmistakable spark. "I never crossed the line," she says, "but I thought about it more than once." The first name she utters carries the weight of memory. Richard Gere. She exhales slowly, like tasting a familiar moment. "You can't really work with Richard and not talk about chemistry," she says. It's baked in his eyes, the calm, the confidence, the kind of stillness that fills the room before he even speaks. When they began filming Unfaithful, Diane thought it would be just another love story. But one look from Richard changed everything. "He looked at me during our first read-through," she recalls, "and I completely lost my place on the page." During long shooting days and endless emotional takes, they shared an intimacy that blurred the edges between acting and feeling. "There's a kind of dance that happens," she explains. "A glance, a pause, a heartbeat you can hear between takes." When they reunited years later for nights in Rodanthe, it felt as if time hadn't moved. "It was like picking up a conversation that never really ended," she smiles. They teased each other between scenes, laughed about old memories, and somehow made pain on screen look like poetry. "Working with Richard," she says, "was like standing next to a warm fire. You don't mean to get close, but it pulls you in." Kevin Costner embodied quiet strength. Diane Keaton recalls his calm presence on the set of Let Him Go, where stillness felt powerful. "He could make standing still look heroic," she laughs. His steady energy grounded every scene, a magnetic mix of safety and hidden fire that made every moment real. Diane's smile softens. "He taught me that strength doesn't have to shout," she says. "Sometimes it just stands there, calm and unbothered, and lets you feel every beat of it." There's a pause in her voice, a hint of admiration that still lingers. "It's like playing chess with a storm cloud," she laughs. "He can steal a scene by doing absolutely nothing." That, to her, is real power, the quiet kind that makes a whole room hold its breath. Next, her expression brightens as another name surfaces. Josh Brolin. "Josh is pure energy," she says instantly, "all instinct and grit." They met on the chaotic, dust-filled set of Jonah Hex, where explosions and intensity filled every frame. "He's unpredictable in the best way," Diane explains. Every take felt different, alive. He'd change a look, shift a tone, and suddenly the whole scene would come alive. That electricity kept her on her toes. "You have to keep up," she says, "or you'll get swept into whatever storm he's building." But for all his rugged energy, Brolin's heart was just as strong. "He's got that wild streak," she says, "but there's tenderness under it." Between takes, he'd crack jokes, check on the crew, make sure everyone was comfortable under the scorching sun. That mix, danger and kindness, is magnetic, Diane admits. You think you're just acting, and then you realize you've both stopped pretending for half a heartbeat. Her voice softens again. The room softens as Diane Lane speaks the next name, Matt Dillon. Her tone shifts, gentle and nostalgic, as if she's rewinding time to a world filled with youthful ambition and uncertainty. "Matt takes me back," she says with a wistful smile. "We were both just kids, trying to look like adults who knew what they were doing." It was the early wave of 1980s Hollywood, where everything felt electric, New faces, bold dreams, and the kind of innocence that only happens once. She laughs softly, her eyes glimmering with memory. He had that quiet cool every director wanted. The way he'd lean on a wall, barely say a word, and somehow own the entire frame. Diane admits she tried not to look impressed, but failed miserably. Matt could make silence feel like dialogue, she says. He'd give that half smile, not even on purpose, and suddenly I'd forget my next line. Decades later, that quiet magnetism hasn't dimmed. Some people lose their spark with age, she says thoughtfully, but Matt just let his smolder mature. It's steadier now, a slow burn instead of a flare. To her, he'll always symbolize that thrilling beginning, the time when every audition, every take, felt like the start of something monumental. Matt Dillon will always remind me of that mix of nerves and excitement, the feeling that something life-changing was just around the corner. Then she laughs again, brighter this time, as another name escapes her lips, Tom Cruise. Tom was all energy, she says. Even back in The Outsider's days, you could feel him before you saw him. He walked onto a set like a comet, bright, fast, unstoppable. He wasn't the biggest star yet, but you could tell he was going to be. His focus was sharp, his confidence infectious. He talked fast, moved faster, and thought about 10 things at once. It was contagious. Even when everyone else was exhausted, Tom Cruise was already planning the next take, the next stunt, the next challenge. He made you want to keep up, Diane Lane says with a smile. That kind of drive, it's rare. But what impressed her most wasn't his energy. It was his sincerity. He looks right at you when you talk, she says softly. And for a moment, the world just goes quiet. That's Tom's true power, the ability to make a scene feel alive, personal, undeniable. When he connects with you, Diane says, you stop acting. You just respond. Her tone turns gentle as she speaks the final name, Christopher Lambert. Christopher had that European mystery, she recalls. Calm on the surface, but something always stirred beneath. On Night Moves, their connection felt unspoken, yet electric. Even the silent moments were charged, like sharing secrets without words, she says. His French accent, his precision, his quiet generosity, everything about him drew her in. Acting with him was like chess, she smiles, and the fun was staying one move ahead. When asked who came closest to stealing her heart, Diane laughs that unmistakable laugh. I never crossed the line, she says, but I thought about it more than once. Then, with a knowing grin, she adds, sometimes the smartest thing you can do is stop, right before you make the mistake you'll never forget. At 60, Diane Lane remains as captivating as ever, graceful, fearless, and endlessly magnetic. From Richard Gere to Tom Cruise, her journey isn't about romance, but about the magic of real connection. She proved that true chemistry can't be scripted. It's felt, lived, and remembered. As the lights fade and her final words echo, you can play love, but you can't fake chemistry. We're reminded why she's still one of Hollywood's most unforgettable icons. If her story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood tales, where every look, every heartbeat, and every secret comes alive again. Thanks for watching.